like doing automatic, like different.
I know they make the software will do like where you switch based on voice.
Is this directional? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean you could talk like this and it would be good, or you could just go. So you just do whatever you want. Sometimes watch what happens. Or things cross. Like swords.
Yeah, it's pretty legit.
Yeah. Several guests have made jokes about it. We'll be like moving around, they like cross, and
that's great.
Anyway, all right. Well, I'm starting the audio here on the Mac. So I'm here in the studio with Josiah.
What's up?
Evants. Is that how you Evants?
Yeah, I don't care.
It's an interesting name. I don't think I'd ever heard that name until I found you.
There's not many.
Yeah. No, I don't. You're probably the only person I know named Josiah. Also.
It's also rare.
Yeah. Almost like the outlaw Josie Wales, but Josiah Wales. Anyway.
It's close enough.
Yeah. So I was just the last guest I had on, David Brown. I don't know if you met him very much, but we were chatting in Midtown Coffee the other day, which is your business, and I was like, dude, we got to come on the podcast. Like we're just talking about great stuff right now. So we did. We just sat down and had like an hour and 50-minute podcast, which my video card filled up during, so that might be partially an audio episode, unfortunately. So, but man. Good to have you in the studio. Thank you for making the time. So, dude, let's talk about your motorcycle accident.
It's the best thing that's happened in my life so far.
Dude,
pretty great.
So I guess maybe your wife mentioned to my wife that means we're like old or something.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Which you were like, what are you 25 yet?
No, I'm 22.
Good for you, dude.
Yeah.
Just ride it straight out.
Staying.
You know what? I'm trying to think how old I was when I got into being an entrepreneur. I was in college, but I was past 23.
Yeah.
So if you're anything like I was, or anything like scientists say human beings are, if you're doing the stuff you're doing right now, when you hit like that 23 to 25-year-old mark, it's gonna Cora's 25 right now, and I'm 30, about to be 31.
You that old? Yeah, man, you are old.
Dude, I know. I try to keep it real with my man bun and my beard.
Yeah.
But, and two, I think in ways martial arts has like made my shoulders or wrists older maybe, or my knees, all my joints.
That's possible.
It could be my diet. I like donuts. But it is made me younger in ways too, just the act of exercising. So... But I think my wife said to your wife, because it was like, oh, how's Josiah? Is he depressed? And she's like, no, he's actually super happy because he didn't have to work a whole bunch right
true.
now. Yeah. Which, dude, I get that, man. Yeah. That's why, I am like, sometimes Cora, maybe even today, might get frustrated with me about podcasting so much. But I'm just like, no, it balances me way out.
Yeah. It's something that, I could see it relaxing you after, working. I don't know, like being your own boss and stuff. It's like, man, the hours you got to pull. It's tough.
And sometimes I just want to not. I mean, in inevitably every podcast, me and David Brown, we were talking about David Brown and I, however you say it. We're talking about martial arts crazy, because he had trained some martial arts, and we're having a conversation about it. But man, sometimes I just want to not talk about martial arts, not in any negative way. Like, I love doing what I do, but sometimes I just want to be like. Yeah, I mean, you actually, before you had your accident, started training and are going to keep after it, based off our conversation the other day, and Tori's training. But sometimes you just want to have non-martial arts related stuff in your life,
Definitely, I get that.
Yeah. Well, so. Rest in peace to your motorcycle. Dude, is it totally totaled?
It was done. Yeah. But luckily, I got like $1,000 more than I paid for it from the insurance, because I got a real good deal on it. So, yeah, it's pretty good.
Let's put that on your medical bill.
On my medical bills. They are just about all taken care of.
Oh, man, I heard, I think maybe your sister told me. So just if it makes you, how old is your sister?
The one that works for us now. Oh gosh.
She in high school?
No, she's graduated now, but she's 20. now.
Well, she's doing a good job down there.
Yeah, she's doing good.
She is. Every time I go in, she's like very nice to the customers.
Yeah,
it's just
good.
the best way to put it.
Yeah, to their faces. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you just got. She's
super nice to me anyway. So.
Yeah, she loves you. She's a lot like me, as far as like I remember polite and stuff, but just the sense of humor is the same, you know. So love making fun of people. So
Yeah.
a lot of that.
Me too.
That's
why I need this podcast.
Yeah,
dude. So I went, and any audience member, listeners that are tuning in right now, or after the fact, since we're not live, but I was in the coffee shop the other day, and there was Widespread Panic on the radio, dude.
Yeah, you made a post about that.
Dude.
Yeah.
Anytime I walk in, you're playing Widespread Panic, I will make a post. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, bro, I don't even think I've ever heard Widespread Panic over speakers that I didn't put there.
Right.
They are hands down one of my favorite. I was playing them we just had the owner of Valley Piano, Brian Chenoweth, on. And
oh, really?
He, do you know Brian?
Yeah, well, just from going in there.
Yeah, he obviously owns a business called Valley Piano, but he was commenting, he's like, oh, I sell that same piano that JoJo Herman's playing. That's super funky. You know, like we were kind of talking about that on the podcast, but yeah, Brian Chenoweth, it was a fun episode. We talked for like 3.5 hours.
Is that the son, or is that the...
That's the son.
Okay,
yeah. The younger guy.
The long goatee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to do a series of podcasts. We kind of discerned, and I've got to chat with him because I just ran through the whole list over like the Marvel universe.
Ooh.
And like start with like Captain America and either do... I don't know. We're trying to come up with a creative way to do it, but we want to watch all of them and then like review them. So like I think intense. Captain America is the very first one in the narrative you start with in like phase 1, and then it goes to like Iron Man 1, and you just keep going down the list. But when you get into like phase 2, then the shows, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., was it Agent Carter?
Yeah.
Daredevil, Punisher, all these other little subsets of within the Marvel universe start coming in. I'm kind of fascinated by it. Plus, I've never seen Guardians of the Galaxy.
Have you not? It's really good. It takes like the humor up to a next level, I feel like. Guardians 2, I'd say like I'd say maybe they pushed like the humor a little bit too far, but they like redeemed me with some of like the like emotions that they got out of you towards the end.
Yeah. What do you think about the Blade movies?
The older Blade movies
with Wesley Snipes.
Oh, they were good.
See, I like the first couple. I really liked the first one, but man, I was reading all this crazy stuff about, like, I hated the third one. I thought that they pushed the comedy too far with Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel.
Oh yeah.
And apparently Wesley Snipes is this crazy method actor.
Really?
Like Jim Carrey, but a vampire. So like he was like, him and the director got into it at some point over like, I don't even remember what it was, but one time there's one scene in a nightclub with like the blood or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like there was like one black person on set, and like they put him in this t-shirt that said garbage on it, and he's like, what the hell is this? You know, he's like super mad, and then stopped talking. I don't know if it was that or other issues, but he stopped. Oh no, maybe he choked the director. Some crazy story. He gets confrontational on sets all the time.
Was it part of the method acting, or was
maybe when you're a vampire character? I don't know. I think he's just maybe an a-hole. He did go to prison for not paying his taxes.
Did he really?
Yeah, and him and Joe Rogan were going to get in a fight.
No way.
Joe Rogan almost fought Wesley Snipes in an MMA fight, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to look it up just so.
In an MMA fight?
Yeah. I said
he would have been destroyed.
Exactly, dude. Joe Rogan's spinning sidekick would have ruined that guy's life. Yeah. I'm just going to Google Wesley Snipes, Joe Rogan fight. Apparently, Snipes backed out of it or whatever.
Smart decision.
No, it was, yeah. Yeah, that was the thing. Joe Rogan details the time he almost fought Wesley Snipes. Years before James Toney was almost put to sleep by Randy Couture, there were rumors.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Wesley Snipes, interesting cat. Yeah. I wonder what he's doing since he's been out of prison.
Dude, I've literally I haven't heard anything from him.
He needs to like play like Dennis Rodman in a biopic or something.
I feel
like he could make a good Dennis Rodman.
Yeah. He just needs to get back on the horse again, probably.
Yeah. So like he wouldn't interact with the director at all. So the director, like he would give the director Post-it notes. Like he wouldn't talk to him. He'd be like,
Dude, that's so childish, though.
Like apparently he'd be like right here looking at the director and like write
No
a Post-it
way.
note and then sign it Blade.
That's amazing. That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, apparently he just like, I don't know if he was drinking or smoking or what, like all day in his trailer. Just like
Really?
they said, he just got super effed up all day. But you see that documentary on Netflix, Jim and Andy?
Jim and Andy. I don't
About
think I have.
Jim Carrey's method acting when he was playing Andy Kaufman's character in Man in the Moon.
They added that like just a couple days ago. You've already watched it?
Oh no, they might have. I watched it like maybe a couple months ago.
Oh, maybe I just missed it because I
Well,
just
they
saw
could.
it.
Man, they did. They could have actually added a while back, pulled it off, and put it back on or something. I know.
Yeah.
Like Netflix did something with moving some titles around the other day. It's like several people on my Facebook page were like, "Don't tell me you're gonna release the movie today and not release it."
Yeah.
So, what about that movie, The Outsider? Did you watch that?
The Outsider. What was that one about?
Jared Leto, the Yakuza, post World War II.
No, I meant to. Wait, Jared Leto is in that? Okay, well, I'm definitely going to watch it.
He is the outsider, dude, and he is. I think they could even make a sequel out of it. I'm going to do a review on it on the podcast.
He was on. I did just watch a movie with him in it. That movie that came out with Ryan Gosling. It was Blade Runner 2049.
Oh yeah, dude. I was just thinking. I never saw the original Blade Runner.
Oh, you didn't?
Is it good?
Dude, it's like a cult classic.
I own it, and I even like.
Yeah.
I like tried to watch it a couple of times and like fell asleep. And
It's okay.
I get that way with movies sometimes. Like it's not because the movie's not good. Like
Yeah.
I'll like start watching it and fall asleep because I'm exhausted from living a crazy fast-paced life.
Yeah.
And then I just never get back to it.
Yeah, it's real slow moving, like in the beginning, and it's like I think they classified as like a nowhere
Noir. Yeah.
yeah. So you got to kind of like be into those. But I watched them back to back.
I am though.
And-
The original Sin City
Oh yeah,
is one
Yeah.
of my favorite film noirs. That is a great example of a film noir.
Yeah,
Yeah, Frank Miller.
yeah.
Man, that I didn't really like the prequel sequel both or whatever that came out, A Dame to Kill For.
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
No, I never did watch that one. No.
I would say Watchmen is pretty film noir as well.
Yeah, that was one of those ones I always meant to watch, but I never did either. Because I don't know. At first, like I wasn't real into noirs, but I think after Blade Runner, I'm kind of like, yeah, I get it. You got to watch it differently.
I took an intro to film class when I was a freshman, and it got me kind of interested in film noirs. I actually wrote a paper, which I won a free DVD for being the best paper of that. He's like, you had to write, like the assignments were write a paper on a genre, write a paper on your favorite movie, write a paper on your least favorite movie. So like I was having to write, like I want to say that, and I wrote a paper on Pulp Fiction.
Oh, really?
That both got turned and the professor was not easily to impress. I had him for also Comp 1 and 2 and then Intro to Film, and I tried to take him for creative writing while I was there, but I wasn't able to, and he retired.
What college did you go to?
Tech.
You went to Tech?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
My undergrad and master's. Probably going to get my PhD from U of A.
Sweet.
So, like I've been saying to a lot of people that I'm going to get my PhD, and they all think I'm crazy.
Why?
That's my dog. You hear him?
Oh, it's all good.
Cora must have been here to let him out. Well, it's funny to me, like a lot of people that not necessarily I surround myself with, but that know me, they assume I can't take on any more responsibilities or something.
You do have a lot of stuff going on. I would say, like, to somebody that didn't know you, I'd say that it looks like you're really busy. But
I am, but I still have chill time and downtime. It's just like I just choose to fill my time with like stuff like this.
no, but I get that though, because like
Passions.
Yeah, when like now that I've had this downtime, like you just feel so unproductive when
Yeah.
you're used to doing so much
Are
stuff.
you able to play the guitar with your wrist and
Finally,
finger the way it
yes.
is? Are you just pretty much play bass?
Yeah, I could play bass first. It was easier to play bass because playing with the fingers and stuff, but using your wrist was a little harder.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've got it down to I can pretty much do it. Yeah. do it easily.
Yeah, I started out on the bass when I was in 8th grade, and it was my first instrument. And actually, my buddy Colby was over last night, and I've had that guitar right there since like 9th grade.
Really?
Yeah. It's actually autographed by the singer of Dashboard Confessional.
No, it's not.
It is, dude.
What?
I'm gonna show it to you. It's not a big deal. I was an emo kid back then.
He's like, it's not a big deal. It's totally a big deal.
Yeah, so Dashboard came to Tech. I forget when it was. When I was like 11th grade or something, but yeah.
That's legit. Oh yeah, dude.
But yeah, that's I was like I drove a 1989 GMC Safari van.
Nice.
When I was in second row captain's chairs, gold rims.
I can see that.
When I was in high school, and when they came to Tech, for some reason, my cousin bought tickets for me, and I was able, like when you had to turn your tickets in or whatever, but he bought 4 tickets, and he was going to Tech and being for engineering, and we bought the first 4 tickets.
Really?
So I had tickets 1 through 4.
Yeah.
But when we walked out, he was standing behind Tucker signing autographs, and I was just like, I have my guitar in my van. So I just went and grabbed it and was like, hey, will you sign this? And he was like, yeah, nice guitar.
That's
so
awesome.
I've seen them in concert. Core and I saw them, and then I saw them once after that. They actually, their lead singer is a super talented musician. A lot of people talk shit about that band, but
yeah.
I've been into them. It's because they are Chris Crabb is a little bit on the I wouldn't say whiny side of things, but they're kind of classified as an emo band.
Yeah, he can. I mean, he delves really deep and like emotional. And,
I like, but too, I like his storytelling. Like they had an album that came out. It was like a mark, a mission, a brand, a scar, and it's like it's a concept story album, you know. And 2, he experiments with a lot of alternate tunings. I would put him in like a classification like a Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah, yeah.
But because Johnny Resnick from the Goo Goo Dolls does a lot of alternate tunings, and Chris Carrabba plays in this tuning called All Out D, or Open D.
Open D.
D-A-D, D-D-D.
Yeah. Oh, that's not even the one that I was thinking of.
You were thinking D-A-D-G-A-D.
Yeah, because I play in that sometimes.
Gad.
Yeah.
So did Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin.
You're right. Yeah.
The plagiarizingest band I've ever laid eyes on.
Yeah, but
that
everybody
sucks
loves them.
because I know, and I was like, dude, as an adult, I've gotten super into Zeppelin, like over the last 2 or 3 years, particularly. And you know who I've not gotten into? Tony Robbins, because that dude is a plagiarizer. So like I built up.
You're being a hypocrite.
I know. And then I found out Zeppelin plagiarized 20 songs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn it. But, you know, I have actually consumed some of Tony Robbins' stuff. I've never bought his books or anything, but
yeah,
man, I just like, it's super hard for me to get into him, even if I don't hold the plagiarization against him, which is I don't know, like that's been like my basis on like not wanting to get into him. But dude, when I get into, I don't know if you watched on Netflix that they put a documentary out about him called "I Am Not Your Guru."
I didn't watch that one.
He does this thing about like, oh man, I'm trying to like explain how he does it without actually giving you the but he'll call, he'll be like, hey you, you in the audience, you know, blah blah, and then he'll start asking you questions in front of this large group of people that you cannot say no to. And 2, he like exerts this authority over you by like swearing.
Yeah, that's a little,
you know, like
I wouldn't enjoy that.
Like it's weird how I'm gonna see if I can pull up a clip for the TV. It'll come through our headphones, but it won't record.
Gotcha.
But like he even has a word for it. I'm gonna say Tony Robbins swearing and just see what comes up on YouTube. Yeah, it's an actual.
So he just tries to plummet people in submission, I guess.
Well, he is doing it, but he'll just like. Okay, Tony Robbins, 7 pre-event rituals exposed. This is gonna be so good, dude. I'm excited. Okay, cast it on up here. Play. But yeah, so like he does like they have all these people come out, dude. Like some of my friends have seen Tony Robbins like several times, And
were they ever called out?
No, but
Okay.
like
Sat
they
far
just
enough back.
talk about the like the whole experience of it. So like what they do is they bring these people out to get you like hyped up, and then Tony Robbins comes out and he's like, like yeah, like this. This is him just coming out after they've hyped the crowd up with like kind of like praise and worship at church. Absolute peak state. He does, dude.
He creeps me out.
He does. He creeps me out.
So what does he technically do?
He's like, I guess, a motivational speaker.
Yeah, see, like,
look at this clapping he's doing. Did you?
Oh yeah.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Dude,
I've
this
watched
is
some
cult leadership, and
Yeah.
I'm never gonna like. This guy is a cult leader.
Watch out! Oh, that's great. This guy's editing is awesome.
I know.
Dude, yeah, I'm always a little bit like leery of motivational speakers. Even when I was in high school, I was super like, if one came, I'm like, I'm barely gonna believe this guy anything.
Here's my thing about this is like, you see this room with 10,000 people in it or whatever, and I mean, there's no doubt in my mind this guy's an influential person.
Yeah.
And that he does deal in a lot of positivity and things like that, but none of those people in that room are making a difference.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta, like, and that's a generalization, but it's like, you gotta tell me, like, I see there's a friend that trained with me years ago that moved to, like, Utah or somewhere up in that part of the United States, maybe Idaho, moved away. And he's always going to these conferences, like this Tony Robbins thing, and there's always, like, 10,000 people in the room. And I'm like, what makes you any different than the like you need to stop telling me about all the conferences you're going to and start telling me why you're any different than everyone else in that room.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like, it's, I don't know. I never, I've seen some motivational talks and stuff, and like, I'm always importing new ideas and processes and trying to learn and evolve, but I don't know. I don't feel like I have to go to a Tony Robbins seminar to grow my business or anything like that. What is he doing?
Yeah, that's strange. I don't see how that helps you with motivational speaking.
Well,
but my thing, like you were saying, your friend like goes to all of these different ones and stuff. That's weird to me, because like I feel like maybe it's just not working. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you should just go to one, and if you get something out of it, great. But like, just start doing.
Well,
something
yeah, and I've
with
done
it.
so like every year. Okay, that is fantastic. Oh man, again, the name of this video is Tony Robbins 7 pre-event rituals exposed. Hint, insane clapping ritual. But so another thing he does is get people to walk on coals.
What?
You heard about that? Yeah.
No,
my
like
goodness.
at the conferences?
Yes. Takes a cold plunge. Huh. That's well, there's actually a lot of benefit to what he's doing with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of fighters that do that.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Dude, there's in Choke, Hickson gets into like this iceberg water.
Who does?
Hicks and Gracie.
Oh, really?
And they're just like this dude's doing.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's really good for your body to have those shocks of cold. Oh my goodness.
Holy crap. Dude, what if he hit like an ice patch? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh man. Well, too, you know, like anytime you get in water like that, how much, I think that was Johnny Hendricks, how much it takes the breath out of you.
Yeah.
Like I had a guy, one of my fighters cutting weight, and he only had to cut like 3 pounds for Golden Gloves, but like he'd never cut any weight before. Liquid supplements into his mouth, probably doing CBD oil. Liquid ginseng.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like if it was anything like illegal, no way they would have filmed it.
Oh my gosh, she's jumping on a trampoline.
I literally thought he was just jumping up and down.
This is fantastic, dude. What a weird cat.
He's strange.
But you know, if I made my millions from plagiarizing other people's work, I would set up my life exactly like he is doing. Just be like, I'm going to do all this stuff. I mean, dude, it's what I'm doing right now. It's like, I'm going to podcast, and then I'm going to go do this, and then I'm going to go teach jujitsu, and then I'm going to lecture a history class.
Just doing everything. Hey, you're doing it.
I am, yeah. I mean, it's... but I still have to do a lot of stuff I don't want to do. Yeah. I don't know how much Tony Robbins probably has to do that he does not want to do anymore. I
feel like though you'll get to that point though.
Oh, yeah.
With success, you know, eventually you can kind of not do what you don't want to do.
Oh my gosh, look at this, dude.
What? I think he's breaking it down too much. Like he's just moving around.
He's assigning every.
I feel like he just ran out.
Well, I will say this is Tony. A lot of the stuff he does is like getting you to do the same stuff.
Really,
he gets these people.
So it is like a cult.
Yeah, in a way, I do think that he in a sense controls the person that is there is impressionable.
Yeah,
and he takes hold of that.
That's the people that go to those things.
Yeah, I mean it's. I'm fascinated by it because it's like it's not a religion.
Yeah.
But in a way, he's preying on people that are either insecure or after something else. Like in the last podcast we just did today, we were talking about being in the moment. Conor McGregor. Dude, I bet this dude's got tons of views. 45,000 views. I need to get 45,000 views.
Yeah, you need to get that. This podcast.
He's talking about Conor McGregor's strut.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The billion dollar strut or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he gets these people to go in and like sing and dance and get this crowd pumped up before. Dude, that clapping is just so great. Yeah. So great. You know, he was the keynote speaker at this conference I go to every year in Vegas, but I did not go to the one that he was keynote at.
Because of that?
No, it was before I started going. It was like the year before I started going.
Gotcha.
But man, yeah, that's a little. It's a little interesting. Why is that guy so excited? I mean, this looks like I mean, for lack of a better term, it looks like they're inside of a super church.
Yeah.
Like, is that Benny Hinn up there? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. See, I just feel like that's so unhealthy though. Like just that much attention like on yourself.
Yeah, like, I know. How could you not be? I wonder what kind of an egomaniac he is.
Probably huge. Like
Tony's clapping ritual. Humble beginnings. Yeah, I mean, dude, have you ever seen Nutty Professor?
Yeah.
Hercules. Dude, he's going crazy with those Hercules hands, man. Look at that, dude. I don't know. Maybe he's just so happy it makes me sick. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we're just pessimistic.
Man, I don't know. It seems all faked.
See, I'm really good at this though, and I feel like you probably are too because we're similar in some of that. Like being able to detect fake people.
Yeah, I am.
I don't do fake people.
Multiple people that know me have said, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but has said that I'm hypersensitive to people's energy.
Yeah.
You know. So,
Bob.
Big Bob. Yeah.
Me and him have both talked about this at length before, about how we both are kind of like that. It's like a personality style. I forgot what the name of it is, but it's like whatever you're around, you tend to emulate that. So if you walk into a room, you can kind of like me and him are both like this. If we walk into a room, you don't even nobody has to say anything, but you can feel the energy in the room. Like you're just like, okay, something's off. Like there's something's like real negative in here, or everybody's like, it's positive. You know, you can usually walk into a room and feel it out.
Man, like I noticed it at the gym so much.
I'm sure you do at the gym.
Yeah. But that's too like, that's like one thing I really, the older I get at the gym, which I'm only going to be like 31, but I've been doing this like my entire adult life.
Right.
So, but the older I get, just like the more, it's like almost like I feel like I get a little more hypersensitive to things, and it's figuring out how to control it is interesting.
Yeah, because it's hard sometimes. Like you walk into a room and like everybody's in such a bad mood, especially if you're in the gym and you've got a lesson to do. And it's like you can't like let that affect you. You have to.
Well, and if let's say you're in a bad mood or you're tired or whatever, you still got to teach awesome classes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, dude, this morning when I went to I thought my boss was gonna be, which like it's funny to say I have a boss because I don't have a boss except for at the university.
Yeah.
And but she was like, oh, I'm gonna come in and listen to you lecture, and get a little evaluation on you. And I was just like, okay, we'll see you then. So I went like over the top and like stayed up really late, like working on my lecture. Like first, like I hung out with my buddy Colby after class, but I stayed up really late working on my lecture. And like I even did a PowerPoint. I never do PowerPoints.
Nice.
By the way, if you're a teacher and you read your PowerPoints to your students are not listening to you. They're copying the PowerPoint word for word.
Accurate. That was me.
So stop doing that.
Idiots.
So I made a PowerPoint with 3 pictures and some key terms.
Nice.
4 total slides. 5 if you count the one that said what chapter and unit.
Slides.
Yeah. But then just getting, so like I took this class on a 9-day notice, so I've had to like literally write my lectures as I'm, in some cases, even learning the material because I am no expert in the Renaissance. I got super deep into the Reformation. I really loathed going through most of the scientific revolution. The early philosophy stuff was good. Now I'm on the Enlightenment and French Revolution, which I've had whole classes on.
Really?
So I feel super solid in that. Like we gave a Enlightenment lecture on the Philosophes this morning. Voltaire and Diderot and Montesquieu and Rousseau, Adam Smith.
So do you have like good
others.
students, like students that actually want to like learn about history, or just kind of a good mix, or the opposite?
I probably have. The class started with 32 people. 2 have been dropped. I have the power.
Yeah.
Okay, and by the power, I mean, if you have missed more than 5 days and you fall below an F, I can kick you out of the class.
Right. Did you kick the 2 students out?
I mean, they expect me to do it. So 2 students I did drop, but they hadn't, like one of them missed like 18 days.
Oh.
Like they came like 4 times.
Yeah.
One missed like 9 days in a row. And like didn't come and then came some and then didn't come and was hit or miss and then didn't come for like a month.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then too, it's crazy, man. Did you take any college classes in high school?
Yeah. I took
or
college level, but it wasn't at a college. It was at the high school still.
Dude, I got a high school kid in my class and he has the worst grade in the class, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And it's because he never comes. And my boss has been like, yeah, as soon as he gets like, the stip is you have to have an F.
Yeah.
And if missed more, she's like, if he falls below an F, you'd get that form over to the registrar. And I was just
all you gotta do is have a couple surprise quizzes.
Well, I mean, yeah, like he didn't show up to all these classes and hadn't turned his homework in for the first exam and like showed up to take the exam. And I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're going to bomb this test and make me look bad.
Yeah.
I was like, all because
you're a professor and that really makes you look bad.
Yeah. I was like, all because you didn't want to come to class. And I like contacted his counselor. Yeah. And I mean, I was like taken aback and kind of offended by all of it because I'm like, dude, I would have given anything. Like I took pre-AP English, but then I dropped out of it because it was hard.
Yeah.
It was kind of enjoyable, but I was like, no, I don't want to get a C in pre-AP. I want to get an A in regular English.
Yeah.
So I did that.
So I took like AP English classes.
So like once you go through like pre-AP or AP, like you get right into that college credit course. Like if you're on that pre-AP track and I don't know, man. I was just like, dude, why are when I was in high school, you had to be top of your class. Like everybody that was like valedictorian and stuff, they were the ones taking the college classes. And this kid,
they were in my classes, but I was not them.
When I talked to him, I'm like, dude, like, what's going on, man? Why ain't you coming to class? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, I probably can't talk about some of this stuff because of Title IX. But it's like, long story short, I was going to say where he worked. But, but long story short, he's like, oh, this job I have. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I worked 40 hours a week in high school. I get up at 4:30 every morning. Yeah. I've already taught jujitsu today and like woke up early, wrote some notes, got here 30 minutes early, driving from Russellville. And you want to talk to me about your BS job? Yeah. Like, I'm just like, no, dude, like,
Please tell me you actually said this, though. This wasn't in your head, right? You did.
Partially, I did, man. Because that, too, I ripped those kids at the beginning of the lecture. Like, I mean, I start doing it kind of jokingly just to kind of ease in there. And then I'm just like, so after the last test, I had to grade on a curve because so many people didn't, and like I say so many, like 8 people didn't come to the test review. Right. Here's how the test review goes. Which one of the following people was not an Enlightenment era philosopher? Voltaire, Diderot, Montesquieu, Louis XIV. The answer is D. Louis XIV was not an Enlightenment era philosopher. I mean, like, it is literally that. Like, I tell them, and I told them from day one, and I send out an email to the entire class and post a Blackboard announcement saying that I'm going to give a test review in which I'm going to read the test word for word and give them the answers.
And they didn't show up?
And that many people don't show up, dude. It's baffling.
That's crazy. I totally would have showed up.
These are the main things that kind of bother me, but again, they don't bother me. Like, one of my mentors was like, dude, focus on the people at the top. Try and bring the ones at the middle up. The ones at the bottom are probably going to stay there. Yeah. You have
a good mentor.
Yeah, well, he is, man. Jeff Woods.
Gotcha.
Appreciate you.
Shout out.
Yeah. Really, he is. He's actually a brown belt in jiu-jitsu also. But when I started off at Tech, I took I wanted to do a documentary over my grandpa, who was a World War II vet. He was in Normandy at Utah Beach. And he had a son that was killed in Vietnam.
Really?
Yeah. So I knew that he did this thing with this stuff at the time. It's called Arkansas Digital History Institute. I wanted to do a documentary about my grandpa. I contacted him, and he's like, yeah, we can do something. I'm in Vietnam right now, and I was just like, oh, this dude's serious. And so then I end up kind of hooking up with him in his office, doing this documentary. Then he becomes department head. At that time, I asked for a job at the history department. Yeah. Little do I know, he's the department head. And like all the dots just connected. He's like, yeah, we're hiring that dude. So I start working the history department, and then while he's still department head, I started splitting my time between there and the dean's office, and then just went full-time dean's office, working on some different projects and programs and stuff they had going. But then he became the dean. Wow. Yeah.
That's awesome. So
he is a super enlightened guy. It's remarkable. I text him from time really quite often about history and whatnot. I was joking recently, and I'm joking with him because I text him. There's this guy that did there's a Netflix special out about him called "Get Me Roger Stone." Okay. This guy that's just he's been around DC since like Watergate, right? Yeah. And I want to say. You just have to watch. I can forget all of his story, but he worked for the Nixon administration, and he has commentated on all of these things that have happened since JFK. Yeah. And because he was in sort of the industry, you could say he's written all these books. Yeah. And these books have been his way of making a living. He's made a living in other ways too, but the books are very, very out there. Like, really? I got down a rabbit hole on one of these books on a Sunday for 6 hours.
6 hours?
Yeah,
That's a long
dude.
time.
I was in an LBJ rabbit hole, bro, and everything was starting to look the same. I'd been listening to the LBJ tapes and reading and watching American Experience documentaries, and previously the night before, that LBJ rabbit hole took me down to RFK rabbit hole, Robert F. Kennedy, who was assassinated in 1968. And so Roger Stone wrote this book basically theorizing that LBJ killed John F. Kennedy.
What?
Had him killed. It's unknowable, but he does. I mean, it's unknowable.
What about the whole CIA thing?
LBJ being implicated in the death of John F. Kennedy, as I understand it, is unknowable.
Yeah.
Based off my research, but there are some connections there, which I'm more than willing to talk about. But I'm working on a big series. My first batch of history podcast is going to be on 1968. That's why I've been doing all this research.
Yeah, you told me about that. Yeah.
But so I text Woods and I'm like, dude, what do you know about this guy who owned the book suppository? The book suppository.
Suppository.
Yeah, the book suppository where they stuck it up. What's his name? But Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
So the guy that owned the depository in Texas is linked to LBJ.
Really?
And that is
just friends with him?
I want to say that he had supported LBJ in his candidacy in Texas.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the exact connection, but it was pretty, it's like, whoa. And then there still are some things that, like, LBJ's attorney was defending this guy that had been arrested that was all kind of caught up. He was put on trial for murder, and they found out that he was working for the CIA, and they kind of like they just let him off. Like, there's also he went into like Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested at one point, and they turned him loose because someone just called and said turn him loose. But the thing is all of it is so Roger Stone makes a lot of these things and says things that are unverifiable. He says so many unverifiable things that it calls into question the verifiability of the entire thesis of the book, which is that LBJ had the biggest guiding hand in the assassination of John F. Kennedy, whether it was through the CIA or whatever.
I think his strategy there was like, I'm going to throw as many like of these conjectures as I can, and then,
Well, the Woods, what he said is he was like, you run into this, like a lot of these people that kind of have like made a career out of working in D.C. That have never really been on the inside of administration claim to have this special knowledge.
Yeah.
And then he goes, they don't. I was just like, he's like, yeah, they claim to have this like secret information. And then he was like, dude,
they were always the losers of Washington.
Exactly. I mean, really, and he's like, hey, some people have a really hard time. And he's like, and this is how the group of people that he makes the money off of. Some people have a really hard time accepting the unknowable. And I was like, well, shit, that's what this texting conversation is about right now. And then the next day I saw him and I was like, hey, man, sorry for texting you on a Sunday and asking you if LBJ killed JFK. Because, like, dude, it's like, I mean, literally, I was down the rabbit hole and I'm making all these connections and looking up all these names I've never heard of. And I'm like literally, like, if I would have had like an area to start putting stuff up on the wall, been like, string to this guy.
Oh, that's great.
And then he's just like, in hindsight, it was kind of funny, but there are just so many unknowable aspects of the JFK assassination, and the consensus is that, sadly, when it all comes back to it, it's like you really the only thing you can say is what history says. Yeah, is that Lee Harvey Oswald probably did it more than likely, and whether you believe he acted alone or not, you can't prove it. Yeah. Here's another thing. There was a guy that was arrested at the JFK assassination named E. Howard Hunt.
I've heard the name.
Let me Let me look this up real quick.
Probably just from conspiracy stuff.
E. Howard Hunt. I don't remember where I was hearing this. Maybe it was on Joe Rogan. Everett Howard Hunt Jr., better known as E. Howard Hunt, was an American intelligence officer and published author of 73 books.
What was he arrested for?
The fact that he was in the CIA is, actually, before I say he's in the CIA, I better, they just started rounding people up. So this is possibly one of those guys that like claimed to have all this inside knowledge and made a lot of money claiming that. Let's see. From 49 to 70, Hunt served as an officer in the CIA. Yeah. Along with G. Gordon Liddy and others. Hunt was on the Nixon administration Plumbers, a team of operatives charged with identifying government sources of national security information leaks to the outside parties. Hunt and Liddy plotted the Watergate burglaries and other clandestine operations for the Nixon administration. In the ensuing Watergate scandal, Hunt was convicted of I never can say that word, conspiracy and wiretapping, eventually serving 33 months in prison. E. Howard Hunt was arrested the day that JFK was assassinated in Dallas, like 3 blocks from where it happened near the grassy knoll.
Huh.
And they let him go.
What was he arrested for, though?
So a lot of people look at that because they said there were these tramps on this train, but they weren't. They were wearing suits, but they write them up as tramps. So this was a story that I was able to verify, but like nothing really after that. Let's see. Hunt's White House duties included assassinated related disinformation. In September 71, Hunt forged and offered to a Life magazine reporter 2 top-secret U.S. State Department cables designed to prove that President Kennedy had personally and specifically ordered the assassination of ZM in South Vietnam. That was like basically our puppet president over there.
Yeah.
Hunt told the Senate Watergate Committee in 73 that he fabricated the cables to show a link between Kennedy and ZM, a Catholic, to estrange Catholic voters from the Democratic Party. So see, this is major discrediting of himself there.
Yeah.
But undoubtedly he was, I'm trying to find where he was arrested the day of, JFK conspiracy allegations. Hunt supported the Warren Commission's conclusion that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in the assassination. The Dallas Morning News and the Dallas Times Herald and the Fort Worth Star photographed 3 transients under police escort near the Texas School Book Depository, not the pill that you put in your butt. Shortly after the assassination of Kennedy, the men later became known as the 3 Tramps.
The 3 Tramps.
According to allegations that these men were involved in a conspiracy originated from this certain theorist who compiled photographs in 66 and 67 and subsequently turned them over to Jim Garrison during his investigation of Clay Shaw. I don't even know who those people are. I'll have to look it up. Appearing before a nationwide audience December 31st, 68. That's a pivotal time. So 68, that's the very end of the year. So LBJ is already not re-ran for president. And there's riots at the Democratic National Convention. Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy Jr. have been assassinated in the previous 6 months.
Yeah.
He held up a photo of the suggested 3 writer and suggested later they were involved in assassination. So these three people were arrested that like they don't really know what they were doing there, and they were Central Intelligence Agency officers. E. Howard Hunt's one of them, and he was also arrested in the Watergate burglary.
So that's where the whole CIA conspiracy comes in.
Well, it gets this too, so I just found this out. The plumbers, or the people that broke in the Watergate scandal.
Yeah.
4 of the 7 were Cuban veterans.
Really?
From the Bay of Pigs invasion.
Yeah.
Okay, so those people were very upset that Kennedy did not send air support.
You really think it could all boil down to that? I don't. Maybe.
I don't really know, but that's where people. That's where people are trying to say, and like, so apparently, and like Joey Diaz said this. So he's a Cuban American immigrant. And his mom was, and they just hated Fidel back then. Every Cuban that was in America apparently hated Fidel. Like, would beat your ass if you were a sympathizer.
Yeah.
But he was talking about. He was talking about a lot of this, and talking about he was just on Joe Rogan with a guy named TJ English, maybe.
Yeah.
But this guy wrote a book called The Westies, and they were talking about all this, and they're just kind of drawing some loose connections, but definitely the connections are there that go. Like they said, they just would keep using these Cuban veterans from the Bay of Pigs invasion. And would just be like, hey, just do this for us. Just break in to this headquarters, and then we're going to go get Fidel. You know, so like everything was, hey, I mean, the CIA had over, I want to say 692, like over 600 attempts on Fidel Castro's life.
Really? He was that good?
But too, like the things went everywhere from like an exploding cigar to like. Is
that why he quit smoking?
Maybe.
Dude, he literally did. Like, he was a crazy chain smoker of cigars, and then all of a sudden he just quit smoking, like somewhere in the 60s.
Yeah, I learned that in my espionage class.
There's an espionage class?
Oh, yeah, and it was great. It was taught by that guy I was just mentioning, Jeff Woods.
Gotcha.
Dr. Jeff Woods, respectively.
Espionage class. That's amazing.
Yeah, the history of espionage, dude. It was crazy. I talked about the book on one of the podcasts the other day. The textbook we used for the course is called Century of Spies. So,
Century of Spies.
Century of Spies. Really cool stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but man, that's it kind of sucks. I keep getting like pulled off track on these 68 podcasts I'm trying. I've gotten tons of notes put together, and I'm doing like episodes on all these key players. Like, I'm not even really dealing with Kennedy, man, but I keep getting so sidetracked because LBJ rose to prominence because JFK was assassinated and fell out of prominence for multiple reasons. Vietnam, but all of his issues and him not running for president led to the election of Nixon, which is one of the most corrupt administrations to take the White House that we know about. So, I mean, Nixon's first VP, he had to resign. So when Nixon resigned, his VP is the only VP to take the White House that wasn't an elected vice president.
That is a little shady. I've always thought that. Thought it was a little interesting. Yeah,
so Gerald Ford, I always get if it was Ford or Carter confused, but first it was Spiro Agnew in 69 to 73, and then when Nixon gets reelected, or rather, no, he doesn't get reelected, or does he? I can't remember. I kind of fall out of interest because we leave Vietnam in 75. I'm all hazy on all this. I haven't. Man, I just really am looking forward to teaching U.S. History 2.
Yeah. You're going to get into that whole
area? I mean, that's... I thought that was the class I was teaching. I was preparing to teach that class, and they swapped it around on me like 9 days notice style.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but anyway... So enough of this boring history, dude. I mean,
history's
who
cool.
cares about who killed John F. Kennedy? A lot.
Is that hard?
A lot of people actually.
Is that hard for you to say out loud?
Yeah, no, but I mean, dude, so many books have been written on that topic.
Yeah,
it's insane. You ever watch X-Files?
X-Files, just a little bit, not like enough to be.
So good.
Didn't they just bring it back?
They did twice. They brought it back twice.
They just brought back that other sitcom too. Everybody's talking about. Was that
Fuller House?
No, not that one. Dude, I started watching that. I'm like, no, not the same.
No, I can't do it. But you know that one sister had all these problems with drugs, like crazy problems with drugs.
What are you talking about? Talking about like
Stephanie.
Nash? Oh, Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know she
the
did.
middle sister.
Yeah.
Not Kirk Cameron's sister, and not the Olsen twins, which one of them has a crazy eating disorder apparently.
Dude, they look. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
They look weird.
See, their little sister, a lot of people think looks like Cora, and actually their little sister trains with a guy in California. Has done a seminar at my gym. Does jiu-jitsu with him.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
in Hollywood. I mean, the gym's in Hollywood, so it makes
6
sense.
degrees of separation stuff.
I know, dude. That's another crazy thing is like we're going to see A Perfect Circle in May.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine, he's not like friends with Maynard, but like knows, like him and Maynard know a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
Like he's friends with Maynard's security manager and just different things like that. So it's definitely a small world.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like I've always wanted to go to a Hickson seminar or whatever, but it's like really one of my friends does private lessons with Hickson Gracie. It's like
serious?
Jack Toffer, who just did a seminar at school, does private lessons with Hickson.
Like regularly?
He just did. Yeah, I mean, whenever he gets in, but he's done 3 with him in the last 6 months, as far as I know. At least 2. The last one, check this out.
Yeah.
You know who Scott Conn is?
I don't think so. Who's
Scott
that?
Conn. You ever see the movie Varsity Blues? That's my favorite one to
Maybe.
reference. Or the TV show Hawaii Five-0.
Oh, yeah.
He's that guy. He's also in the Ocean's 11 movies. Scott Conn. I'm going to show you a picture right now.
Yeah,
dude,
you're
he's
talking
hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah.
His
100%
dad
know
is
that.
what's his name, Conn, that's in The Elf. This guy.
His dad is the... You're right.
Yes.
Oh, my mind's
yes.
Oh, my mind's blown. Dude, he's one of my favorite actors, actually.
Yeah,
I totally
dude,
forgot
I
his name.
love him in the Oceans movies. Scott Conn dad.
He does so good.
What is his name? James Conn. That's what I was going to say. So, yeah.
Dude, he's
that
a
guy right there.
master. Yeah. Okay.
So, Scott Conn is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, bro.
I
And
did not
Scott
know
Conn
that.
and Jack Toffer just did a private lesson with Hickson. It's Jack's Facebook profile. I'll show you how short Scott Conn is. He's like 5'6" or something.
That's
or
so
like
legit.
5'4" maybe.
He is really short.
But yeah, I was like, dude, Jack, what are you telling me, man? Like my Scott Conn's like 5'9".
Yeah.
You know, don't take that from me.
But he's really like, dude, how do they do that though? Like in Hawaii Five-0, like
I know, right?
You know what's his name? The other guy. Dude, he's pretty short.
Yeah, he is.
Because Hickson's not that tall, is he? He's
no,
pretty short too.
but Hickson's got some height on him. Plus, he's got this little flicky thing going on in the front, one of those Hollywood hairstyles.
It's to make him look taller. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
He looks like he's more cut there than normal.
he does
in the
look
show.
lean. He does look real lean.
Yeah.
It looks like you're wearing a show-year-old gi. I'm not making fun of you, Scott Conn, if you're
Yeah,
listening.
watch like Scott Conn's like.
It'd be cool if
listening to
Scott
us,
Conn was listening. Matter of fact,
You know how cool that would be. Dude, that'd be legit.
well, I thought about asking Jack if I could do a podcast with both of them, or one like I can do a podcast with Jack probably anytime. I'm about to start doing some phone podcast, or when I get the supercomputer built, I'm gonna do like some Skype stuff.
That'd be cool.
So I'm just versus going like the hardware I would want to get to do that broadcast is very expensive, and it's so expensive that I could build the computer to do what I want and run the software I want and do the
Might as
same
well do
exact
it.
thing, man.
Yeah.
Plus, TriCaster kind of freaks me out. There's a lot of buttons. Like you have to have. As far as I know, I probably could not. I don't know if I could run the podcast and do it on the fly.
Yeah.
But there are softwares out there that I can do that with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude. So, walk me through this motorcycle crash, dude. Like, you got any trauma from that?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, I've got somebody else's bone in me now. That's a little weird. That and steel plate.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. It is wild. What went through your mind when you saw that you're about to go down?
Oh man, like not much. I was just driving, and then I saw the car pull out, and I knew there was no. I had no time to brake. I had no time to do anything. I just like knew. I guess it shot through my mind. I'm like, yep, I'm about to crash. And I hope this turns out okay. That was about it. And I was just like, I just remember I was like, oh crap, and then. You pulled out, and then it's weird. It's like everything went black, and was spinning. And then like when I finally was able to open my eyes, I was like 2 feet away from oncoming traffic in the middle of the road.
Which you don't have to wear a helmet in the state of Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken. Did you have a helmet on?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I had my really crappy half helmet on, and somehow in the flipping over the car, I lost it. But yeah, I did have. Did
you have any like leather or anything?
No. I was just jeans and a shirt. And that was it. And they had to cut all my clothes off me because I couldn't move really to get everything off. It was really bad.
Hope it wasn't like your favorite pair of jeans.
It was. It was like a brand new pair. I bought it like 2 days before. I was like, no.
Yeah, so you just got hit by like an elderly couple or something.
Yeah, okay, so I still kind of swear that it was the woman that hit me, but they told me later, like in the police report, that the guy was the one that hit me, and I'm like, the guy, because I remember, now everything's kind of fuzzy because I was hit pretty hard, and I mean, it hurt a lot. 35
miles an hour or something?
It was 35. Yeah, I was going 35 to instant stop. Like there was no braking, it was 35 hit. So, but I remember looking back, and I remember a woman getting to me first, and the way that I had hit the car, the driver's side was facing towards me. And like I swear that she got out of the driver's seat, and she was the one that was trying to come up to me. And he wasn't at all. He was over there complaining. He was like, "Oh yeah, I think I have a headache, a concussion or something." And he didn't. He was totally fine, by the way. But yeah. I swear it was her. But they said on the report that it was him, and he was supposed to be wearing glasses. I think that he just took the fall for it, which is fine. I mean, I don't really care. I guess that's fine if you want to do that. But I still alive. Yeah, I'm still good. And it actually turned out, great. I'm not hurting financially now, so it's
And you got $1,000 more than you paid for your motorcycle.
I did.
Yeah. So they didn't have like the greatest insurance or something. I think your sister told me y'all just like worked something out with the hospital on that or something. Which is luckily typically actually the way to go from what I hear.
For anybody listening, don't ever just pay your hospital bill. Go and we didn't have to do hardly anything. All we went in is me and my dad both went in ready to argue. We're like, all right, here we go. To try to get the bill down, and we're like, yeah, I don't have insurance, health insurance, and I was looking to see if I could get a discount. She's like, oh yeah, sure, uninsured discount. We'll bring that down $60,000 for you. And I was like, what?
Yeah, dude, I know. I remember when you told me that at the coffee house, and you're sitting there like rookie of the year in the chair.
Oh yeah,
I was just like, damn.
It's crazy
because I didn't think that could be a thing. I didn't think that's because it's law since like 1970 something in Arkansas to have liability insurance.
Yeah.
And even if you have super crappy liability insurance, somebody almost kills you.
Yeah.
You should not be out of pocket at all, especially if it was ruled their fault.
Now see, I did have insurance like on my bike. I had insurance. Yeah. Yes. Health insurance I didn't have.
Yes, but I mean, I would think that like their auto insurance should cover your health costs.
Oh yeah, it should. But the minimum health insurance in Arkansas is $25,000, so that's all that they paid for was the $25,000, and then it cuts there, and I think like the insurance company raises their rates after something like that. But but I had uninsured motorists on mine, so it was another $25,000. So ended up taking care of everything.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fortunate, man. I'm a pretty minimal risk taker because I really thought really seriously about getting a motorcycle after high school, and my dad and I almost kind of fist fight over it because he didn't want me to, and
so I didn't tell my dad till after.
Yeah, he did not want me to at all, and I was still living with my parents at the time. And he was being kind of a dick about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, your mom can throw you out if you get one,"
Sorry, Brian's dad.
Yeah, but thank you in hindsight because I don't regret not getting one now. I'm not saying that he wasn't my sole motivating factor in choosing that, but I know you probably heard this since you had your wreck, or maybe even before, but everybody always says this, and I totally agree with it. The if-when.
Yeah.
It's not a matter if you lay that thing over, it's when you lay it over.
Yeah.
Which sucks because, dude, I mean, like, too, you did the totally right thing. You bought a cruiser.
Yeah.
I like back then. I wanted one of those Ross burners. That's what my dad would call them and stuff. But I wanted a crotch rocket, and they're asking, be cool.
They're asking for you to have a wreck. The guy that came in right before me in the hospital, he had one, and he had been going 100 miles an hour to a straight stop. He ended up dying that night. They said, they were like, man, it's been a night for motorcycles when I came in, and I'm all like in pain and stuff. And they're just like, seriously, bro, they're like, you're super lucky. The last guy that came in was like, you couldn't hardly tell he was human. He's just a bloody mess. He was barely hanging on, and then
hopefully your wife wasn't there while they were telling you that.
She came in and she heard about it somehow. So
yeah. Oh man.
But my wife's great, and my mom's great too. I will give both of them. I was pretty surprised afterwards because I was actually talking to my mom, and I thought for sure she's going to be like, please never get on one again. And I was like, Mom, look, like, I am going to get another one, and I just want you to know. I was like, but the thing is, like, I don't want to live in fear over anything.
Yeah, and I do.
I have to conquer that. Like,
I don't like, but like certain things, like I would never go bungee jumping.
Okay, see, that's different. Okay, I think it's like everybody has a different, like, there's a point to where I think is unnecessary, stupid risk, and skydiving and bungee jumping is that for me. Like, I have no desire to do it. Like, I don't want to jump out of a plane. But like with the motorcycle, it's like I want to ride again, but I don't want to keep myself in fear to the point to where I don't do something I want to do because I'm afraid of it. I've got to conquer that.
Yeah. No, I mean that's logical.
Yeah.
Certainly.
But I will have now so much extra like layer of caution. Like now even driving, it's just like I am so much more.
See, that's what I wondered about you. Like Cora has a little bit of like rider and driver trauma from being in a wreck.
Okay, I do. I wouldn't say, I don't know if I'd go as far to say trauma. Riding with certain people, I have noticed like some of my best buds that have never been in accidents before. I've noticed that people that have been in accidents versus who haven't, out of my friend groups, they drive completely different, and it does make me nervous. There's one guy who's like right after the accident, he's like following right behind somebody. I literally made him stop because I'm like, look, you're about to give me a panic attack, because I've had a history of panic attacks. And I was like, he did make me way too nervous.
Sucks that you work in the coffee business, bro.
Yeah.
See, that's like a trigger for a lot of people is caffeine that have panic attacks, anxiety and stuff.
Unfortunately, it is for me too.
It's crazy. The awareness that I've increased about like panic and anxiety. I don't really suffer from it, man.
Yeah.
But like, I know you listen a little bit of Joe Rogan, but you ever heard of Joey Diaz talk about having panic attacks and stuff? Like one time he was having one before he was about to go on stage. And he's like over there talking to the wall, trying to talk himself out of it. Somebody comes over and is like, "Hey, Joey, you all right?" And he's like, "Can't you tell I'm talking to the effing wall?" And he's just like, "Of course I'm not all right." And he ends up like getting there. Like he's like, "Oh, you got to get somebody else to go out in front of me," and like they're just trying to like, "Oh, what's going on, Joey?" And then he just goes out there and kills it.
Really?
Yeah, ends up just being like, "Screw all you." Goes out there and kills it, like right on the border of a panic attack, man. But I've felt the heart of someone that was having a panic attack, and it's truly freaky, man.
I've had several, now being in the hospital, I've had several really bad panic attacks. And it's weird because like I'm not a real anxious person. Like I'm not super.
It's crazy how physiological it is. Like how your body, sweats, hot and cold.
Yeah, I literally had a doctor's appointment scheduled to take a look at my heart in like x-rays and stuff, right the week before my wreck. And I hadn't gone in yet. And then I had the wreck and ended up getting there. And I remember I was on the ground and I was afraid that I was going to have a panic attack. And like the first responders got there and I'm just like, calm me down. I'm like, calm me down. Like, I have panic attacks. I'm like, just calm me down. And like, I had people around me and stuff trying to get me to stay chill. And then, when I was in the hospital, they were giving me these breathing treatments. And at first I thought it was helping because I kept having like mini ones.
Simulates, yeah.
But, it didn't. they actually, like my probably third breathing treatment, it triggered one. But I also think it was partially the nurse. Sorry if you're listening. But she was like, man, your heartbeat's like way up. And she kept talking about it.
You get to simulating a similar experience of like a hyperventilation or something. I could totally see that.
Yeah, and she just kept talking about it. And I was just like, well, is there something wrong? She was like, oh, no, you're probably fine. And then she left. And like, it was like literally 2 minutes after I went into like, not cardiac arrest, but felt like it. I couldn't control myself. I was like,
dude,
spinning out.
That's the crazy thing is like anytime, like, you know, it's like sometimes, I don't know how people with anxiety deal with this, but like every now and then I'll stand up and like get super like, whoa, like
feel like your heart skips a beat.
You stand up too fast or, you know, whatever. You've been doing drugs. I don't know. but you stand up and you get lightheaded and it's like, whoa, you just like the room is kind of spinning. I'm just like, oh, I'm going to be okay. Whatever. Yeah. Like it never freaks me out. I never get freaked out by it. It happens periodically. And it's like I've heard people say, oh, I stood up too fast or whatever. And like you get like a rush of blood going from like your upper, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Okay. Yeah. But I'm like, well, maybe that, but like when I hear people talk about panic attacks, they talk about similar situations and then like they can't rationalize that they're going to be okay. It's like they can't
That's
be
the bad
like,
ones.
yeah, like that. Oh, my heart rate's a little jacked right now. It's probably just because I ate that edible cannabis or whatever, and it caused your heart rate to increase. I'll be okay.
See, that's what you have to do though. I've had them for the last 2 years, and I've had, you know, a couple really big ones, but usually they're not, and I'll have them like every 2 weeks or so. Like something where it's just like it feels like my heart skips a beat, and what I do is I just have to like in my head I'm like, I'm gonna be fine. It's just my heart doing that weird thing it always does. And I'm like, just breathe in through my mouth, or, you know, in through my nose, out through my mouth, and it usually takes like about a minute, and it gets it calmed down, and then I'm fine.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah. Do you feel like there's any correlation with that and like you working like being the coffee house guy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Really? Yeah.
Yeah, it's caffeine content.
Well, I mean, dude, not just that. You are, which I know your family is like involved. And I don't know to what extent, who does what or whatever, but you pretty much running the shop is a business at a younger age. Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, if it wasn't for Cora, I'd be in freaking tax jail, dude. Like, I'm not trying to run a business. I'm trying to choke people over here, you know? Like, I mean, it's almost a joke. Like, I am almost unwilling to do anything, like, related to, like, money. Yeah. Like, people be like, hey, I want to pay $200 for this gi. I'm like, go talk to Cora. Yeah. Like, I will neither write that gi in the order book or order it for you or anything. Yeah. But when you get it, come let me know. You know, I'm just like, it's weird. Those are my weaknesses, so I choose not to do them at all.
That's okay though. That's what makes you like a business owner, like being able to recognize your weakness. Yeah,
but fortunately, I have Cora, and maybe that's why she has some anxiety. It's because I keep peddling all this stuff off on her. But it's, I mean, it's not. I think some of it is related to like age and uncertainty. Yeah. Like, dude, I remember when I was back in my day. But dude, when I was your age, oh man, I didn't know shit. Yeah. But I was working just as hard as I am, pretty much. I just really didn't get anything together until I was 23. Yeah. There's this all this science that I believe in, and maybe it's bro science, but about like your prefrontal cortex, yourself, your brain, your identity is not formed completely till you're between the ages of 23 and 25. That's what I believe. I've heard that. That's why I actually tell people, I'm like, I don't think you should do any drugs until you're that old. Yeah. There's a lot of correlation between people smoking weed, doing like psychedelics or LSD or things like that. Yeah. And they're doing it before they formed that identity of self, and it either delays or denies the formation of that identity.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a friend right now that he did too many, like he before that age did too many psychedelics for like a really long period of time. Like he mentioned to like one of our friends that he'd like done something crazy, like smoked DMT 300 times in like 4 months or something.
He's lucky to be alive.
I don't know very much about DMT, but apparently you can do that. But
okay.
I don't know if he saw the deity or whatever, but I've never smoked DMT, so I can't, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But they call it like the businessman's trip. Apparently, like you can like, it's not like doing like other psychedelics where it's crazy. Mushrooms are getting voted for recreational legality in California in 2018. They're up on the it's crazy. Our government and military both have done all these studies about MDMA and psilocybin, and there's a guy out there named Paul Stamets that's got all these patents on these different types of mushrooms that like lion's mane.
You have a patent on a mushroom?
You have to get a patent to sell the mushroom as a supplement.
Oh, okay, so it's your product.
Yeah, so all these different, but like there are blocks because but there's all sorts of non-psychoactive mushrooms. Yeah. Right? Just like CBD, a lot of people think it's federally legal. A lot of people think it's psychoactive. Like if you were to like grind up a bud off of a marijuana plant and smoke it and it's going to be like, oh. Yeah. Right? CBD is not supposed to do that to you unless it has psychoactive properties.
Is it just energy or something?
No, it's CBD is supposed to be calming to you, but it's supposed to like reduce inflammation in your body and stuff like that. But anyway,
that's why they say the health benefits of CBD.
Yeah, and two, the fact that it's non-psychoactive. That's why it's federally legal. Right. But some people make psychoactive like CBD oil that has the psychoactive strain too, and you can vape it or whatever. But I don't know. I think that once you're kind of like comfortable and confident in your own skin, that you can do that kind of stuff and get away with it. Right. Yeah, but like, I mean, something that, I don't believe exists, for some people is like, I've ran into people that I would consider burnouts. You ever heard the phrase burnout?
Yeah, but I'm not sure in the same context you're talking about.
Somebody that did too many drugs, therefore they're like, what's that, dude?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I know several.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like just a total like...
You don't believe that?
They're never going to be a productive part of society. Yeah. Every person I've ever met that was like that did drugs pre this line I'm talking to you about.
No, it's...
I do know people that have got into smoking and doing other things past like in their 20s and stuff, and they have either anxiety or paranoia or whatever. I knew a guy that's like, he's older than me, but he like when he was like in high school, he would smoke weed and he was always getting busted by his dad or his stepdad. I can't remember who he said, but like now that dude gets super paranoid about like everything, you know, and it well, probably maybe not something. Everything, but like, well, I'm not trying to go too deeply into like.
No, but I could see that correlating where it's like now, you know, every time you'd smoke weed, which is, you know, impairing those whatever connections, and then you're getting caught while it's impairing those connections.
I just like I never really got it, like the whole like oh my god. Yeah. Oh my god. Like you ever watch Breaking Bad? Yeah. You remember when Jesse's like tripping out on meth and like he hears the knock on the door and it's like these like these biker gang dudes with like these crazy clubs with like nails in them or something. It's like really two Jehovah's Witnesses on bicycles or something. Yeah. Super funny. But yeah, the paranoia. Yeah. You know, so like you hear like the things like paranoid schizophrenic. Yeah. Like that is the sort of things I think can happen to people that start playing around with drugs too early. And I'm actually I'm pretty open-minded to stuff. Like I'm not like I'm saying that, and I'm not I'm more of like the school of thought. I'm like, oh, you're 23 to 25 and you want to do drugs? Cool, do them. Yeah. You know, as long as you are like not letting that screw up your whole life. Because the reality is, I know tons of people that smoke like daily or smoke a lot, and they're super productive members of society. Super productive. Like, it's almost shocking. Like, it reformulated like so many people and so many different levels of society that it would shock you. It changed the way I thought about it. And I'm like, this many people do this, but it's like bad, you know? And like, look, I think that like, well, I'm in line with like what everybody else is thinking. I'm like, yeah, it is bad when you're an 18-year-old high school student who hasn't formed your consciousness, trying to get a hold of these drugs illegally and do them. It's like cannabis is legal recreationally in 9 states now.
Is it really?
9.
What other ones added it? Like
Nevada, they added it the week I was there. And I actually, like, my back was injured. I told somebody this the other day, and I went, there was like 5 dispensaries within a block of my hotel.
Really?
And I walked to one, and I got some, like, I was like, hey, look, I am injured. I'm trying to take some Gracie tomorrow or whatever. Like, literally, Cora popped in my back. I injured my back somehow before we went to Vegas.
Oh, dude.
And like, I was just like couldn't hardly breathe, dude. And I'd heard actually Crone Gracie on Joe Rogan's podcast a long time ago say that, like, the only way, like, when he was training super high volume, like shredding his body and his back's all jacked up from just the training all week, would do or drink edibles in order to, like, not move. So I went and I got this like a juice fusion, and I just told him, I'm like, hey, I just want something that I can take before bed that will allow me to sleep.
Yeah.
And they're like,
how was it hurting that bad?
Oh, yeah, dude. Well, that, and I knew too that I needed to, like, I think that night I like laid on the floor on my flat on my back until I was ready. And I had like a foam roller and a myo ball and stuff with me, and I was working it out. But Cora was able to pop my back, and it was like, it felt it go back in. I wonder if I didn't have a rib out or something.
You could have, man. It kind of sounds like.
Yeah, and I was able to go do the Hickson seminar. That, like, literally on our way out.
That says something. I mean,
yeah, and but I mean, literally, I couldn't hardly. Like, it would be like, yeah, I don't know if you ever hurt your body. I know you hurt your back and your right, but like where you go to move and you're like,
oh yeah,
well, you just like stabbing a knife in you, taking your breath away.
Yeah, right after the accident was like that.
Yeah, but yeah, man, it allowed me to sleep without moving around a lot. Like, I toss and turn a lot during the night, and I think it's because my body's like, oh, hey, no, don't lay like that. But, you know, I can't lay on my back all night without moving. It's probably be what I should do. But it allowed me to not toss and turn and just kind of lay there and recover.
That's good.
And Cora's able to pop my back in the next day.
See, my thing about, I guess, I mean, really weed, like, I don't really, like whenever the vote came up, like, I voted for it, but I don't do it. Just mostly because, like, I don't like to be out of my state of mind. Like, I drink, and like, I drink beer, I drink whiskey and stuff, but I don't like being drunk. I don't like changing.
I don't either. Actually, all of a sudden, I don't like being drunk. Matter of fact, the last couple of times I got drunk, I felt like I was like kind of lost control of my judgment a little bit, and I wasn't even super drunk. Yes, and the people I was around were pissing me off, because one of them almost goaded a guy into a bar fight, and I was like, do any of you motherfuckers... I don't know who within your audience is going to listen to this, so we'll keep it PG rated or whatever.
It's all good.
But I was like, do any of you guys know how to fight?
Yeah.
Because I don't, like...
They're expecting you to jump in.
I don't know if that was the case, but, like, I was like... I just didn't want to be anywhere around it. Like, literally somebody bumped by our table and was like, hey, I'm sorry for coming through here. Like, it's the only way for me to get out on the patio to smoke. And like, one of the people at the table was like, hey, we knew when we slid this table out right here and all of us sat back here that was going to be a thing, no big deal. And then this other guy who had a little more to drink than me popped his mouth off at this cat, and this cat was just like, I'm about to whip your ass, dude. And then I was just like, I'm about to whip everybody's ass.
Yeah.
All of your friends and all of my friends.
And all of my friends.
And it's just like, except for this dude who it's his birthday, and you, sir, have just screwed that up. And then I screwed it up too, because it just ruined my mood.
Yeah.
Like, and there was just like no coming back from it for me. And like, that's what I didn't like. I was like,
you couldn't bring yourself back.
I was in Little Rock. I didn't have a means to like not be there.
Yeah, right.
You know, and it was just like, and oh man, it just. But then I reflected on that a whole lot, and I've drank a couple of times since, like 2 or 3 beers, but. And I do, man. I enjoy drinking Patron. I think we're probably going to drink a little bit of whiskey on the podcast this week. One of my guests was talking about bringing some over, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I have been trying to get out ahead of it and talk about it, because like literally the last couple of times that I drank a little more than I usually would, and I was in a place, in a setting in which I could not like really control.
Yeah.
I can just like go to a hotel and, or whatever, go to my hotel. I didn't like it, man.
It's, yeah, for
me.
And
it does. I finally understood that impaired judgment thing they always talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I've never had a problem with, like, I don't think I've really ever had a problem with, knowing when not to drive kind of thing. Like, I always know when not to. But for me, if I drink too much, and especially if I'm around other people, I just feel like everybody's watching me, and I feel, like, majorly embarrassed. Because I can feel that I'm not my normal self. I'm not collected, and I can't control it. Usually, if no one tries to pick a fight with somebody, and then that same person tries to argue with me about gun control and the police, which I train law enforcement and have trained law enforcement. So he knew you.
And am a concealed carry holder, and we got into this stupid argument, and then I was like, dude, I'm already mad at you. I'm ready to beat your ass, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and it just like, and then but it never would have got to that. Not even close. I'm telling you for a fact, if I wouldn't have had any alcohol.
Right.
Like, because, I don't know, like, Joey Diaz jokes around about Eddie Bravo. He's like, you get him to drink and that red man comes out. It's an Indian in there, and because Eddie Bravo he's like Mexican. So, but my great grandma is full blood Cherokee. Maybe I get that.
See, I do. Now, I like all that being said, like, I do still like drink pretty moderately, but
that's the key.
But I just, I like to do it. I mean, even when I'm out, that's fine, but I like to just do enough to where, like, I'm relaxed and I'm not drinking for that. Like, I specifically, like, I love craft beer. Love it. Yeah. And I love whiskey, good whiskey, not crap. So
what's your favorite kind of whiskey if you go, say you're going to go to the well or whatever?
Does Price come into it? If Price doesn't come into it...
Yeah, let's just say it's a special occasion. You're going to go to Arca Valley or wherever. You're going to get a bottle. There
is a 12-year Dalmore at Be Well that is beautiful. It's a Scotch. It's
Scotch, man.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now, I love bourbon and Scotch, but if I had about $80 to go drop, or I think it's like 100 actually right now. But it's a great
Patron
Scotch.
is my weapon of choice, bro, and that's probably a reason why I get so wound up the last couple of times I've been having Coronas and Patron, dude. Yeah. Like Patron, man, it get you hooping and hollering, and it's usually all happy and positive. But like I said, man, I've just noticed a few times that like it's kind of made me a little aggressive.
Yeah,
which in hindsight, I kind of like or whatever on some side note, but it's like, so what blows my mind, these Thai boxers. You ever remember that season? You ever watch Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah.
You remember that season where like GSP's on there, and like he has this Thai coach from like
from when he was on.
I think he was I think the Thai coach he had was French, but this dude like came in like drunk, drinking, and like I want to say smoking. And then got out there and just started slamming people, just like, whoop, just like blistering them with kicks, man. It was, but that's just it. A lot of the Thais they'll be drinking while they're out there. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, if I've been drinking and I go train hard, I'm just like, oh man, my side, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird. I can't imagine that being part of the norm.
I think once you're used to it or something, because I have like drank a little bit too much before and then played guitar, which I know is different, but I played guitar, and then one of my buddies who had not drank that night, like I asked him later, I'm like, how did that affect me whenever I was playing? Because I didn't really remember. He's like, honestly, you played way better than you do normally. He's like, no offense. He's like, I mean, you played good, but he's like, you
Really
played
more
way
relaxed,
cleaner.
less over analytical about it.
Yeah, he's like, you just seem more focused. And I was like, that's really strange. But I think that may be something with the ties, though. You know, like it's the same type.
Dials you in.
Yeah, dials you into a reflex
This
muscle
is
memory.
crazy, too. There was a guy on Joe Rogan's podcast, and they were talking about him recently, but I remember... I might even be remembering an episode where they were talking about this same guy, and then I looked it up. Anyway, there's a guest, it's a kickboxer competitor that microdoses mushrooms.
Really?
And he's like, yeah, dude, it just gets me in a flow state. Like Vice News was
What does he
sharing.
fight in?
I want to say it's K1. Or not K1, Glory.
They let him do that? Like, don't they drug test for it, stuff like that?
I don't know. Let's Google how long mushrooms, psilocybin stays in your system after you take it. How long do shrooms take to...
I just want to look at your Google history. It's got to be really interesting.
System. I look at shrooms half-life. We could get something called truffle magic.
Truffle magic.
I don't even know what it is, but I like the word truffle.
Yeah.
How long does shrooms stay in your system? Look, detox everything fast.
Oh, that's horrible.
It's like that's the ad on this page.
that's
It's
what-
like,
that's
are
what
you
John
needing
Jones
to
used.
pass
Yeah.
how long does shrooms stay in your system? The bug, large bag head, a magic mushroom, the fungus, high trip, psilocybin. Okay, 15 paragraphs later. Okay, myths. Here's some myths. Shrooms can stay in your spine forever. I've heard that. A spinal tap can detect if you have ever used shrooms or LSD. I've heard that. And it's a myth. Shrooms make you go crazy or insane. Apparently that's a myth. These people must be in the shroom business. Do shrooms show up on a drug test? The answer to this is yes. The presence of magic mushrooms and its metabolites can be detected. Although standard drug testing, for example, 5-panel urine tests do not test for its presence. So that means a nuke plant doesn't test for mushrooms.
Everybody in the nuke plant who's listening.
The most commonly used drug tests test for marijuana, cocaine, meth, opiates, and PCP. And I do happen to know that I believe that the nuke plant, somebody just told me they test for benzos.
Really?
Yeah, which makes sense because you're dealing with nuclear reactors and stuff.
Yeah, if you're working at the nuke plant, you probably shouldn't be doing drugs.
Yeah, dude.
Especially with our nuke plant.
Yeah, then where people get set on fire and die and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. That's they've had two bad accidents in like the last 18 months or something. I don't know. I'm not to be insensitive to I hate to like say that if
no,
those people had families.
I know the guy
oh bummer that passed away.
Yeah, the guy that was the whole crane accident thing.
Yeah, so that guy passed away, and then like some sort of crazy fire thing happened in which no one passed away like right after that.
Yeah. They actually, yeah, my pastor is his mom.
Oh, bummer, dude.
It was that was rough because I remember where I live. I don't live too far away from the plant. That morning we heard like the crash. We didn't know what it was or anything, but we're just like, what was that? Because we heard it from inside our house. We came to the church later and like everybody's just like freaking out because we didn't know like the status of what had happened to him. We just knew that there was a collapse. And yeah,
there was some people that saw that happen that had to get counseling for it. I don't know.
There was a bunch actually.
Yeah.
The guy that used to own my shop, he was the human resource manager there for a while. He was telling me about when it happened. Like it was crazy rough. It wasn't just like a few people. It was like the counselors were seeing like everybody. Like everybody was just like, because they saw somebody die at their workplace. It's like,
well, and yeah, I can.
and he
only
got
imagine,
around too. So like people knew him. He was around town a lot.
I don't think I'd ever met the guy, but I heard about it, and like, man, just because of the gym, so many people, and just we're a smaller town, and that place employs so many.
It's like lifeblood, dude.
Yeah, it really is. And like in Clarksville, it's Walmart DC.
Yeah.
So, and I will just say this again. I say it all the time. I will work 1,000. I will work all the hours in the week for Brian Wilson to work none of the hours in the week for those people.
Yeah.
Right. I would rather work all the hours for me than 40 hours for them.
Yeah.
I just can't do it, man.
Just because of the company, or
just like I can't. I'm not wired to work for someone else.
Yeah.
I'm going to be my own boss.
Yeah.
I don't think it's because I have a problem with authority. I don't think it's because I can't get along with people. Like, I'm just like an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It fits me, you know.
It's the same, because I can't, now that I do work for myself. Oh, dude, like that would be like, I guess if I had a fear that was in my life, it would be that something would happen and that I'd have to go back to work for somebody else. Because it's just like,
dude, I worked at Walmart DC, and it was like, it's crazy. Like, you get in there and like you work like a 12-hour shift, like hard manual labor. Like, yeah. I did this order filling on this, like basically stacking groceries on a pallet all day, every day, and dropping the pallets off to be
12 hours doing that.
Yes. And, like, you would get in there, and like, this is how I always felt. It'd be like, all right, man, 7 hours in. Oh, man, I just feel so bad in my back. Oh, man, my stomach hurts. Oh, am I getting sick? Like, you would just, like, start to deteriorate mentally and physically. And, dude, it's like as soon as you walked up out of there, you were like, like, literally it was gone. Like a burden was lifted. That place was cancer to me, man. I will never work there again.
I've worked 2 jobs like that. Staples was horrible.
Oh, damn. So you probably worked, did you work with Maddie at Staples?
No, before him.
Okay.
I actually trained a lot of his managers.
Yeah, dude. But, that place has got to be going out of business soon, right?
See, the thing is, ours will probably never go out of business because we have a really big store, and our store serves as a warehouse for the stores that close down, essentially. Mm-hmm. We used to get screwed over all the time by Staples corporate, because they would close right when they closed like that 500 stores or whatever a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When we were working there, they would ship us all of the stuff because they saw that our place was bigger, but they would also require us to have everything out on the floor, and we didn't have room.
Yeah.
And then they would cut our hours in half, so we didn't have hours to do it. Like, so basically the manager staff would stay there till like 12 in the morning. Sometimes just trying to stock stuff and find place for things. It was crap. And then I hated that place. And then like, it's not good to talk about former employers, I know, but Staples has got to get something together.
Walmart DC got to get something together too.
Yeah. And I will say,
kidding. I mean,
my other job that was basically like a cancer was Shurian, the
call
dude. Center.
Yeah, I got some of my guys from the gym work there.
Yeah.
You be it's not telemarketing, but like people that are pissed because
like
their
warranty.
stuff broke, and you got to talk to them. Yeah,
that was super fun. Oh my gosh. No, and I will say the company, that was my favorite company to work for, because they were really cool, and it's just nothing. There's nothing they could do. They tried their hardest to make it a good job, but they
do pay decently well, right?
They do, yeah. Like I was
benefits
paid like $12 an hour.
For around here, and for just like a pretty chill job.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
like,
just sit in your chair and talk to people on the phone, but it's draining.
I think I made like $20 an hour working at Walmart DC. Like,
really,
it was like high teens.
Yeah.
Like, I think I started out at like 17, and then I got a raise at 90. Like, I got a couple of raises, and then you could make incentives too. But dude, it was not worth it.
Yeah.
You know, like, what was worth it is going into debt on my student loans way more than working at some place that makes me like physically unhappy.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I was feeling when I was in there. It was like, in my view, is like physical unhappiness.
Yeah.
Which, sitting here in my podcast studio looking at that moon lamp over there, That makes me feel good.
I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Well, warehouse lighting is just not good either.
No.
Can't be.
Staring at computers not either.
I remember when they built Walmart DC when I was a kid, it looked like there's this town between Clarksville and Ozark on Highway 64 called Hartman.
Yeah.
That's where my whole family lived when I was a kid. Like my grandma and grandpa had a farm right there on this creek when you go into town. And so there's like a highway, and then there's like maybe like a 5-mile distance between this other highway called 109, and they run parallel. Right. So when you would be on 64, you could look over like 5 miles in the distance, and it looked like a town.
Yeah.
And it was the lights on the roof of Walmart DC.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember when that didn't exist. I remember when that whole 5-mile stretch going just this way on 64 was like dark at night.
Yeah.
And then they built the DC, and it looks like a town.
Yeah.
And if you go up on top of like one of the mountains on the outskirts of Clarksville, it looks like a town.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, so anything else exciting going on? You got big plans at the coffee house coming up?
We've got some plans coming up.
Got the coffee truck.
Yeah, we'll see. We've got it. But we had some other options come up recently that we're looking at too, that are in the same vicinity.
Dude, I'll tell you the only thing that I see as a potential downside is it's very hard for me to find a place to park over there.
Yeah.
It's all Planet Fitness's fault.
It is. It's their fault. Yeah.
And fickle fitness people too, because that's the only people that work out over there.
Yeah. It's a problem that we're trying to fix, and we've looked at other locations, like several others.
Well, I mean, I think you can get by without a drive-through even. I mean, that would be so ideal. But it's like one of my coaches was in town, and he's like, hey, I'm going to get Flavio's a guest on the podcast. I'm going to get him a coffee. And I'm like, hey, dude, grab me one too if you don't care. And he's like, dude, I thought I was never going to find a place to park. And it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something, 4 o'clock when he's coming in.
It's like one of the worst times.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, even like the mornings, like after I get out of the gym, like right when you guys first open, I guess a lot of people work out at that time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's our possible new location though. It'll be more of a drive-through, so that if you guys needed to, and I think we're going to open an hour earlier too for people, which I know you'll appreciate.
I do go through really early. And I too think if you don't have a drive-through, it would be hard to justify opening earlier.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, well, I feel like it's like at that time of morning, it's purely about a thing of convenience.
It would also be like if we were in a different spot, it'd be different. Like if we, because I used to, when I didn't own the shop, but I worked there, we opened at 5:30 in the morning. And that was rough.
Yeah. Dude, I get up at 4:30. I'm usually like on Tuesday. There's a period of time when I was getting up at 4:30 every day through the week.
I don't know how you do that, man.
The last person that texted me that, I just text them back one word: legacy.
Legacy.
They didn't text me back, but
great.
They're like, dude, I don't know how you do it, man. I just don't, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, yeah, that's why no one's going to remember your name. But no, I wasn't being that much of a dick about it. But in a way, like that, I'm motivated, not egotistically by that, but like, I just feel like kind of like a creator type person. Like I have this urge to want to make things that I'm interested in, put them out there into the universe. And yeah, I don't know. That's just, I get super motivated by that. Some people aren't at all, but
I get it. I
get up early because this like kind of comes with that. Like now I only teach a couple of privates early. I'm only getting up about 4:30, like 3 days a week right now.
Yeah.
And then I get up about 5:30 the other couple of days. Sleep in on Sundays, sleep in some Saturdays.
Yeah.
It's nice. I actually do. We have people that help out a lot at the gym right now on that earlier stuff. So
it seems like it.
Super helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, dude, you'll have to keep me updated. Dude, I actually do. I've been joking about it, but I really would like to do some podcasts at the coffee house.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I think it'd be really cool.
With your permission, of course. But
definitely.
you can be one of them. But that's why this little recorder right here and this Yeti mic that I'm just going to get here whenever they decide to finally ship it to me. I think it's in shipping. But I've got some different cables where I can hook this into my mixer.
Yeah.
I can hook this into the mic. It's just it's a pretty cool little device. This is a custom cable that they made. Like typically I had to pay like $30 for it or something, but it's you can't get very many. Like it's a custom.
Yeah, I've
made
never
deal.
seen one that had like the midis like that.
See, that's a 5-pin.
Yeah.
So it's 3-pin on this end.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's wild. There's a guy that had some XLR stuff like at the fights the other night, and it was like a box.
Yeah.
And he was like hooking the XLRs in his computer, no, he had a box that he was hooking the XLRs into, and then it went into the USB.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder what that's for. I almost asked the dude, walked over and be like, "What are you doing with that?"
What do you do? Even if I just
I'm like, hey, where'd you get that thing on your lens? I might every time I see like a camera or audio stuff now, I'm like, what do you use that for?
Yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you, one thing I got to get for this camera is you see, I got this little thing up here over my lights.
Yeah.
There's a little glare that will light hits the camera, and there's this thing you can get to where it comes out over the edge of the lens on all sides. Yeah. Totally kills it, but it's kind of expensive. I got to get it. It's one of those things that for that, I did get a wide angle lens for this room, but
that's nice.
This, it just kind of gets it for lighting.
Yeah. Hey, how do you feel about the fight coming up this weekend, right?
You mean Max Holloway versus Khabib?
Did
you hear, bro? Okay, that was not an April Fool's.
I thought it was, though.
It wasn't, sure? Dog. It was not an April Fool's. Yeah. I tried to do a podcast about this last night.
No.
Dude, Khabib is fighting Max Holloway. Tony Ferguson was wearing his sunglasses inside and tripped over some cables like this here because they didn't have the...
What?
Yeah. Injured his knee.
Are you sure it's not
Tore
a long
his
play?
lateral
this
cartilage.
Could be a long play April Fool's joke.
I mean, it could, but here's the thing: Khabib, it would have to be deep, and I would have think that they would have came out because you got to think that it is this weekend. It's going to affect sales big time.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently Tony Ferguson tore the lateral cartilage off the bone in his knee
from tripping over a cord, for real. That's it. I don't know, man. Conspiracy Emmy's coming out.
It's Illuminati, dude.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Look into it.
They really wanted Max Holloway to fight.
But, Dana White said he'll never book Tony Khabib again. This is the 4th time that fight's fallen through. Maybe it's the 3rd time.
Because of Tony?
Maybe they're saying there won't be. No, it was one time Khabib went to the hospital or something because the weight cut. Yeah. And then one time it was an injury, and this time it was an injury. I can't. But it's just the first thing I heard is somebody's Tony was walking across a parking lot, and then someone was like, "Hey, Tony," and he was like, "Hey, what's up?" and tripped and fell, and then he tore his knee. And then it was something more specific, he tripped over some cables. Then I read something today where someone wrote and said that he was trying to blame the UFC because maybe they left the cables out wherever he was walking. I don't know.
That's hilarious. Come on.
Yeah, dude. Khabib is not fighting Tony Ferguson. Khabib is about to whip the shit out of Max Holloway.
Yeah, for sure. But I was excited for that one, but I'm actually pretty excited to see the Nunes rematch with Joanna.
Thug Rose. Yeah. Thug Rose and Johanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah.
I used to think her name was Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah,
because it's about.
It looks like it. Yeah,
dude, those Polish names are weird. Eastern European names are weird. They have C's and Z's in them a lot of times.
Yeah, it's how you do that. That's crazy.
And Y's. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, teaching European history right now because I didn't really get it at first. I had World Civ in college.
Yeah,
and they're like, "Oh, you're teaching Western civilization," and I'm like, "World history?"
Yeah,
and they're like, "No. European as it relates to the world." And I was just like, oh, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
So I don't really have to talk about like Africa as it relates to, but pretty much, man, world history, the way it's taught in a roundabout way. Like the book I have, one of the professors highlighted a bunch of stuff in it, and I just kind of steal what he highlighted.
Nice.
I don't read anything else.
Hopefully.
No, it is like most of the stuff, but there are these whole big parts, and even a whole chapter that is like on Africa, and he's just like, oh, it's not Western Civ. Don't talk about that. Yeah, I started off like getting deep into the Mongols, and I wasn't supposed to do that.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about it. You're like, I'm so excited.
I
dude.
did anyway. Like I flipped open the book, and the first chapter was on the Pax Mongolica, which was basically Genghis Khan shaking things up enough that he could protect the Silk Roads for a few years and facilitate trade and also the Black Death.
And you talked about rape and stuff, and then it was like, oh.
Yeah. Not supposed to.
Yeah.
Dude, we'll wrap it up with this. I want to read you this source. This is, I've been raising awareness about holidays, and I'm not going to get off onto Easter.
Yeah.
Which, if one more Christian tries to tell me there's any connection between Jesus Christ and eggs, I'm going to slap him in the face.
Somebody actually argue that?
Look it up on the internet.
I don't ever argue that.
Dude, that's what's going to happen. That's the indoctrination's already happened. You can believe however you want to about it, but like the amount of like pagan rituals associated with like fertility cults that have become a part of that holiday is super disturbing. Like,
yeah, but I mean, are those cults still around? Or is it just kind of the history of
obviously they are. I mean, the actual cults might not be, but the culture is.
Yeah.
And it's being propagated. I don't like seeing those people in front of the Huertas waving eggs at me. You know?
Oh yeah.
Like that's what you gotta like look at the history of where the egg comes from. And the wild hair in the Germanic states, and it's got a rich history. Like what you really need to do is like Easter is a surveyed religious thing, however you want to look at it. Let's just say you only believe in the resurrection story.
Yeah.
All of the other stuff that has made it in comes from these outside occultist, pagan, ritualistic sources, and it's a part of the tradition. So a lot of people say that when Christianity was formed, that they were trying to bring in, they wanted more pagan people to not be pagan and to be to have these Christian beliefs. So they tried to. I don't even really believe that as much as just like it's just become like almost perverted in a way.
Yeah.
But
no, I will agree with you on some of that. Like I don't know, our church though, like I mean the part
it's connected to the Passover and Jewish traditions, you know?
And that's what we go off of. We actually we've actually been trying to distance ourselves more from some of the like pagan parts of it. I don't understand all of it, but I know like now we really weren't even trying to call it Easter anymore, just trying to get away from it, just like, which is the little things, but
I mean, it's a linguistic thing, but I mean, a lot of people draw that connection to Ishtar.
Yeah. See, we were just like, it's the resurrection day, and that's what we celebrate.
That's a way better way of putting it. And two, I'm also like, here's another thing, and like not talking any crap. You know what's super disturbing to me about that holiday in Christian tradition? But bear in mind, I was raised in church and played in the band and everything, much like yourself. The whole Easter outfit thing.
I don't get that. Yeah, I don't know. That's always been that thing.
Like, it's like, do you think, I mean, I'm not an expert in the teachings of Jesus Christ, but I am, I study a lot of people who are, and I do know a fair amount, and it's like there's no way that I think Jesus wants you to go buy that Easter outfit. No,
and I don't know anybody that has strictly said like God wants you to dress up.
Yeah, no. So where does that come from? Like, oh, I've got to go. Me and my kids and my husband, who never go to church anyway. Yeah, we got to go to church on this day, and we got to dress a certain way.
You're talking about the CEOs,
the executive types. Yeah.
Christmas, Easter. What's the? I forgot the other one. No, it's not CEOs. It's Christmas, Easter.
What's another one?
There's another one.
Thanksgiving? No.
I don't know. No, not Thanksgiving. What was it? Anyway, there's Christmas and Easter for sure.
Those are the two main ones.
We had like almost 500 people at our church.
Dude, I know, like, I just wanted to go to Cracker Barrel and eat some of the Sunday fried chicken. And, like, we do go to Cracker Barrel some Sundays.
Yeah, you're like, what is today?
And I was like, I made a joke with the waitress. I was like, we don't go to church, and we didn't see any of these people here last Sunday. And she was just like, I know, right? But
that's great.
It's just like I couldn't even turn in there next to like the New Life Church and all that because it was just flooded. And it's like I drove down here like at least 2 weeks in the last 4, and it's like just flooded with people. So is that where you go to church? Okay. Yeah. Some of the members too. I actually saw one of my guys working traffic while I was talking crap about the people working traffic. I was like, are these people trained to do this? I see that you have this vest on, but did you go through a course?
Probably not.
Yeah. I've actually had people like at city events direct me into almost having a wreck 2 different occasions. So I don't do what those people tell me. I have no authority. Yeah. They're not law enforcement.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how they're legally allowed to operate traffic on a city street for a church.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird stuff.
Yeah. But it is interesting. But
parking lot just makes sense.
History of holidays. Like I've been raising awareness about Columbus Day. So there's a story where they like basically see this. From these docile servants, we quickly move to the more hostile Caribs depicted here. So they're talking about the Taino, and then there's like a more cannibalistic tribe. The infamous cannibals, what follows is a portion of an account given not by Columbus himself, but by an aristocratic shipmate, Michel de Cueno, who provides a particularly intense and paradigm-forming account of a meeting of bodies, if not minds, in a letter from the second voyage, October 28th, 1495. He describes how he and his men have just attacked a small party of Caribs, and one of the Spaniards has been shot with an arrow. We captured this canoe. Well, this is a literal journal entry from this ship captain. We captured this canoe with all the men. One cannibal was wounded by a lance blow, and thinking him dead, we left him in the sea. Suddenly we saw him begin to swim away, therefore we caught him, and with a long hook pulled him aboard, where we cut off his head with an axe.
Dang. We
sent the other cannibals together with the 2 slaves to Spain. When I was in the boat, I took a beautiful cannibal girl, and the admiral, Christopher Columbus, who we celebrate, gave her to me. Having her in my room, and she being naked, as in their custom, I began to want to amuse myself with her. Since I wanted to have my way with her, and she was not willing, she worked me over so badly with her nails that I wished I had never begun. To get to the end of the story, seeing how things were going, I got a rope and tied her up so tightly that she made unheard of cries, which would make you believed at the unheard of cries, which you wouldn't have believed. At the end, we got along so well. Let me tell you, it seemed that if she had studied at a school for harlots. The admiral named the cape on the island the Cape of the Arrow for the man who was killed by the arrow. That guy raped that girl.
Yeah. I see, like, I was reading something, is actually this past Columbus Day. I forgot what article I was reading. Somebody was discounting that. I don't know that it was
that particular story.
Yeah, that article from that guy saying that it was a lie.
I actually heard a historian give a lecture on that. Is how I heard that story.
Really? Because I did hear that, and everybody was talking about what a big deal, and everything it was. And then the thing I was
I'll
reading,
have to look into that.
It's okay. I can tell you where it was at too, because I had the article saved because I thought it was really interesting.
Let me read that whole thing, dude.
Yeah, dude. Well, no, I wanted to hear. No, I didn't read the whole thing.
That is I got into that when I went over Columbus, and I was watching a historian that was talking about primary source accounts from Columbus, and I was like, no way.
See, okay, because I don't know completely what to believe, because one guy says, that one, and then the other one was saying no. What I had heard on this other article, it was saying something about like that guy was lying about it. Columbus didn't actually know that he was doing that with her or something.
Well, obviously, really he didn't.
He might not have. And they were taking slaves and they were taking servants and stuff. But I think from their article, they were saying that like some of their like dealings with the Indians and everything else is like that was part of like what they were doing, like that they would trade people. And that was like, and yeah, that's horrible, but like that happened. And it also like they had accounts of Columbus.
And because that happened, I'm going to say we should not celebrate that dude.
Yeah.
Like
I could see the argument there.
Literally, he rolled up and was like, man, these people are so happy. They're so gullible. Yeah. They're so enslavable.
Yeah, except for the cannibals. I mean, that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, but who's to say they were even cannibals?
Yeah.
What proof do we have of that?
Yeah, but...
Other than his accounts, which, according to our discussion in the last 2 minutes, are questionable.
Yeah, they're so questionable.
Apparently. I mean, it's like how I read that. That's a translation, too, so there could be translation errors.
Yeah, but there's probably not that many.
Because, like, that whole let me tell you part, it's like, this dude isn't going to say, now let me tell you.
Right, yeah.
But
he, thou, thee, the...
but man, the Mongols, too, back on that story, we do have some crazy accounts of some raping and pillaging that Mongol troopers did. It's wild. But... yeah, I don't know. I'm fascinated by holidays. I'm like, why should I celebrate this? I haven't been into holidays pretty much since I was an adult. The only reason I still celebrate Christmas is because Corey makes me.
Yeah.
Like I just like one day I was like, why do I have to buy people stuff like and spend $1,000 every time this year?
Oh, I don't spend that much on people. Gosh.
Big family, bro. That's just like by the time you get everybody something small,
Dollar Tree, man.
You get your parents. Well, yeah, I mean for the kids and stuff. But man, we got like so many. We got nieces and nephews and aunts and uncles, and each family has their little tradition. But I mean, like last year, we did it a lot different. But just since I've been an adult, I'm like, what is up with all these consumer-based holidays?
Yeah, I think a lot of that though too has just been perverted. Like
totally.
Just because of our culture.
I
don't think it's always been, because I still think like I know the pagan parts that are like a part of Christmas and stuff, but again,
I actually know less about the I haven't gone as deep into Christmas as I have with Easter.
Yeah,
but I do know a fair about both of the holidays. But that was just like when I was going down the rabbit hole on Easter. And it's just not even worth it on some of it because I was getting mad because I was like...
Valentine's Day, though. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Like it's like a national... It was like orgy day, basically. That's what it was.
Okay,
like,
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, ask Mike about it. He's like crazy. Because I was like... I said something like, so you doing something for Valentine's Day or something? And he's like, oh, what? He's like, you're going to actually celebrate orgy day? And I was like, whoa, what are you talking about?
Have you heard of the purple people, bro?
Purple people? No, what's that?
Hold on just a second. Let me lay it on you. Purple people. It's these people that all lived in purple houses, and they were a standoffish sex cult in Northern California. The purple people.
When was this?
It still goes on.
What?
You may have heard of Purple People, a Lafayette, California group that lives in purple houses and travels in purple limousines. Is the Lafayette Morehouse a cult? Apparently there's one in Missouri. Its connection to sexuality is inescapable. Its members teach sexual practices and techniques and even used to offer college degrees on the subject. Yeah. Like
accredited college degrees?
I don't know. They staged a public demonstration of a woman having an orgasm. They're not purple, but their houses and cars are. They engage in polyamory and group sex. You said orgy, and I just immediately went to purple people. They believe in responsible hedonism. I'm just giving you headings here. They see themselves as social researchers. They believe in human perfection. They use a one no vote system. I don't even know what that means. Do you remember the guy that you ever see this movie 10 Things I Hate About You?
I feel like I have. Sounds really
Heath
familiar.
Ledger.
Oh,
kind of high school. It's actually a retelling of a Shakespeare, the Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think what else is. Well, there's this guy that was in that movie, and he was like this model guy, and he grew up and started a cult, dude. And here's another person that became a member of a cult. This girl that was in Smallville. Really? I want to do a history of cults. Like, we've talked about everything that I'm interested in today.
Cults are
cults, drugs, and history, like conspiracy related history. Like, I want to do whole podcast segments on that. Like, for some reason, like, the history of drugs is fascinating to me. Like, all that stuff about, like, hey, I wonder if that guy became paranoid schizophrenic because he did too many psychedelic drugs before he formed his prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is fascinating. The history of prohibitions and legalities and stuff like that. So, hold on, I'm gonna pull this dude up. I bet you've seen this dude. I remember when I was a kid, he was in a couple of different shows. And no, that's not him. That's Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He's not in very much anymore.
This guy. Oh. Grew up and started a cult.
Wait, he started a cult?
Yeah.
Really?
Cults with crystals and stuff. I don't really know, but yeah, that's a dude.
That's weird.
So, yeah, you know.
Huh.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. I'm going to start a cult.
Formed your prefrontal cortex yet, bro. You could do anything.
I could do it.
I mean, you may have. Like, that 23 to 25 is an arbitrary number.
Yeah. I feel like when you get to that point, like, you kind of do understand, like, when you did. Like, I feel like I already have. Like, because I feel more, I'll say, like, if you look at me 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago, I'm not the same kind of person.
I did, bro. I creeped your whole Facebook.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
No, you did.
Looked at all the pictures.
I want to delete them all. They're so bad.
Dude, don't, bro. Like, I was like, damn. Plus, it tells a story of you and your wife, man. You can't be getting rid of those pictures. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know y'all been together that long.
Been together a while.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I was like, damn. Like, I saw you. I guess I saw your pictures in like 10th grade and stuff, and even before. That's what's crazy about people like you that are younger. Like, dude, Facebook came out when I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And if Elon Musk has his way, we won't even have it anymore.
That's true.
So, anyway, but yeah, Facebook, interesting. It's where all the stuff you don't want to.
Yeah.
Sometimes I see things. It's like, 8 years ago you said this, and I'm like, oh, back when I was, you know, didn't have it together.
Yeah.
But it's a reminder, you know, keeps it real. I'm all about keeping it real.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, dude. Well, thanks for finally coming on the podcast. Not like you were ducking or anything. I did lose your number, and I'm glad I have it now. Because you text me. Because I was like, I'd sent you a Facebook message, and then I kept looking at it, and like I knew that you hadn't checked it.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. I hope he didn't think that like I'm just like ignoring him or something.
No, I got really busy there doing something, and I had like 5 or 6 people send me messages at the same time.
Yeah,
I thought I checked all of them, and I was like,
and too, I know things got to be hectic, and I've even seen you in the shop working a little bit, and
here and there.
I know it's got to be a little weird time trying to, like, dude, anytime you get out of your groove on something, getting back it's
really hard.
I'd rather just change the groove altogether than try and like stop doing something for, like, I almost thought I was gonna have to teach a night class on Mondays.
Really?
And I was like, I just don't want to go back. I don't want to stop teaching night class and then go back to start teaching it again. It'd be a temporary thing. I didn't want to teach a night class at all at the university, but fortunately they were willing to work with me. And now they want to potentially hire me to full time.
Really?
Like, yeah, it'd just be a day job.
Would you have
in online classes? Yeah. I mentioned that earlier because that's what people have been saying. Like, how are you going to do that, Brian? And I'm like,
I'll make it work.
The same way I do everything.
With class.
Yeah, but
you could always do podcasts on the weekend and stuff.
Well, exactly. Well, here's the thing, dude. I already talked to you about everything I've taught in the entire course in this podcast.
Yeah.
Martin Luther.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was this podcast or the last podcast, but between the 2 podcasts I've done today, I feel like I hit the whole semester.
Yeah.
We hit the Mongols and Columbus.
Yeah.
The Enlightenment. So, but anyway. Well, dude, feel free to come back on if you have any exciting updates for our local listeners about your business, Midtown Coffee.
Sure.
Everyone should go there. You have the Nitro Cold Brew.
I do.
Are you the only one in town?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the only one in...
I know that some of the Starbucks have started to get them, but man, even like occasionally, if I have to like be heading out of town and like you're not open, I might stop and get a cold brew.
There's only like one in Arkansas.
And it's not even the Nitro,
Yeah.
but I might stop and get a cold brew from Starbucks, and it's not as good as what you guys do. I don't know your process or anything, but
yeah. Real secret patented process.
it's good, dude. I'm telling you, I got hooked on it, and I love that cold brew. It's more potent. Like, I didn't sleep a lot last night, as I mentioned, and second podcast of the day, I already rocked a lecture and taught a jiu-jitsu class, and I'm about to go do the same.
Nice.
I'm gonna sleep good tonight, but it's because I had that cold brew this morning.
Keeps you going.
I will say that there was a small period of time, like when I was like wrapping up my lecture, where I really had to pee, and I hadn't anything to eat, and I was like, am I gonna throw up?
Yeah.
Like, I felt like Brendan Schwab on Joe Rogan. Like, there's been a time where like he's like, man, I didn't eat and I drank way too much coffee. Oh, I'm gonna shit my pants. I got it. or he like literally throws up in the studio. Like that has both happened, and I can't remember if it was the throw up or the bathroom break happened more than once.
Yeah.
One time the bathroom break happened twice in one episode where he's like, guys, I'm like, I gotta go. Like, and then the other one, like, he throws up multiple times or something. Just like, I've felt that way. Like, you get too much coffee and not enough carbohydrates or whatever
you gotta
you
soak
need.
that stuff up.
You gotta put some donuts in there, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Donuts and Danish.
Cora hit it on the head. Like, she's not a big coffee drinker, but I mean, I guess she is. But she doesn't just like get coffee.
She would be if you let her.
She ain't get coffee and donuts all the time. She does drink coffee a lot more.
Yeah.
But she's just like, oh, I just love the bitter and the sweet. And I was like, I know, right?
I know.
Now you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I was like, now you're speaking my language.
Yeah. It's a legal drug. It's so good.
Well, dude, Midtown Coffee. Any plugs on that you want to put, where you're located, any
right
specials? Go ahead and take it away, man.
Right next to Planet Fitness. Real easy to find. Stay tuned for some more location updates that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, well, hey, I know you guys you've been on the hunt, and I will say this, in my experience, location's important, but what is important is being sure that like you accommodate the growth of your business and
for sure.
and what you know. Every time I've grown and had an influx of income or something, I'm like, new mats, new building, a new roof. Like, that's the next thing we're getting done is we're getting our roof sealed. So, but that's it, man. That's how I got to doing what I'm doing today, is just by like never being satisfied.
Yeah.
That's also why I'm doing 5 episodes a week on the podcast right now.
Just not satisfied.
All right. Signing off, sir. Appreciate your time.
Definitely.
Yeah, dude. 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Sweet.